Hello and Happy New Year. This is my starting TBR for 2026. This video is going to consist of the entirety of my physical TBR starting January 1st, 2026. Now, as you can probably already see, this is a very short video. One, I am not going to be telling you about these books, partially because it makes the video go faster, partially because I probably don't know enough about them because these are stuff in my TBR that I've not necessarily looked into since I bought them, and my retention for things I've not read is worse than my retention for things that I have read, just because it is, and also because there are only 32 books on this TBR. I have 32 books on my physical TBR. My goal for this year is to try and get a 0 TBR. I don't know if that will happen. I do have, so far, 24, I believe, books coming in that I've pre-ordered. It may have changed since the last time I counted because I think I've got to update a spreadsheet, but I've got pre-orders coming in. But I read 150 books in 2025, so it is feasible for me to get a 0 TBR, unless something happens and all of a sudden I start buying loads of books, which I'm trying not to do because financially that is not a viable option. But also I just find, I don't know, like I'm not particularly interested in a lot that's coming out, you know? So I know that a 0 TBR probably terrifies people. I know that having 32 books on my TBR may terrify people as well. I will say though, if you are somebody that gets hot and bothered about other people's TBR numbers or reading numbers, or genres or anything like that, then you can walk yourself out now. You're invited to bugger off, because this is mainly for me to look back and see what I've managed to read, and how I felt about it. You know, because my memory, I couldn't tell you what I had in my TBR at the start of 2025 or 2024. So I make these videos so that I can see that. This is not here to belittle anybody that has a large TBR, or to show off, or to have any other point other than this is a fun video that I like to make so that I can look back and see what I have, because I just like doing it in this format. So yeah, if you're going to whine about other people's reading, this is not the place for you. This is not a safe space for you. And I will actively mock you with my friends. That being said, I do know my friends have the fear, the fact that I have such a short or a small TBR and that I'm aiming for a 0 TBR, because they do have substantially bigger TBRs, and there's nothing wrong with that. I read what I read, and I don't read very much, if I'm being perfectly honest. I like romance, I like historical fiction, I've got some classics, I have some sci-fi fantasy, but I am not the person that reads prolific fantasy series like everybody else, so I just don't end up getting as many books. Anyway, with that disclaimer out of the way, which is annoying that I have to make, but the Discord that has been going on in the bookish community lately is frankly disgusting, and so I feel I need to make the disclaimer. Let's get on with the video. Now, these are basically kind of in order of author surname. So the way I've got my TBR spreadsheet set up, which is over here, which is why I'm pointing over here, even though you can't see it, I can see it. I have my TBR in order of year that it was added to my TBR, and then within that the author's surname, and I then have my arcs separately. My arcs are all e-arcs, so I don't include them on like my physical TBR, obviously, because they're not physical. And I then have my non-fictions separately as well. So to be fair, all my non-fictions I got in 2025. I've been doing really well at getting through my non-fictions. So these videos, if I got a bald spot, you would tell me if I had a bald spot, right? Me and this fringe do not get on sometimes. Anyway, yeah, so I've got 2 books that were put onto my TBR in 2023. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 that were put on in 2024, and the rest were 2025. So I'm doing really well. I worked last year. I made a good push and a good point of getting through books that have been on my TBR the longest, so I've managed to whittle it down to books that are basically 23, 24, 25, which I'm very happy with myself about. I also feel like my reading picked up more in 2024 or 2023. I just feel like I've had a better reading year for the past few years than I have previously. So I don't know where I'm going with this. Anyway, let's get into the meat of the video. Starting with Mrs. Graham's War and Pirates by AZebraReads. The Summer of Broken Rules by Kyle Walther. Hang the Moon and Count Your Lucky Stars by Alexandria Belfleur. Love at First Night and Kilted Lovers by Megan Clausen. At First Bite by Olivia Dade. The Kiss Countdown by Etty Easton. Late Bloomer by Maisie Eddings. Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I will also preface this one by saying I do need to read books 1 and 2. I did not realise this was in a companion series. Love Me Do and Love Story by Lindsay Kelk. Dating and Other Theories by Susanna Nix. Fan Service by Rosie Dannon. Heartstrings by Ivy Fairbanks. Red Side Story by Jasper Ford. The Life Impossible by Matt Haig. Old Flames and New Fortunes by Sarah Hogle. Holding the Reins by Paisley Hope. The Women by Kristen Hanna. Beast of the Little Land by Juhi Kim. A Taste of Golden Iron by Alexandria Rowland. Just Our Luck by Denise Williams. Fireworks by Bonnie Woods. Silver Elite by Danny Francis. The Shadow Key by Susan Stokes Chapman. A Beautiful Evil by B. Fitzgerald. The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. The Anthology of Scottish Folk Tales Volume 2. One Medicine by Dr. Matt Morgan. And finally, How to Be an Anti-Racist by Abram X. Kendi. There we go. So as you can see, 32 books on my TBR. There will be additions made throughout the year, as we know. This is not including the ARCs. This is not including some books I've got in here that I borrowed. So that is my physical owned TBR. 32 books. Hopefully I can get that down this year. Like I say, I read 150 books last year, so it's doable, it's manageable. But then I don't know what I'll do because, yeah, it's scary not to have any books. It will give me a chance to reread books that I've been waiting to reread and have been worrying about rereading because I should be spending time on my physical TBR. But it's low enough now that I can reread without feeling that guilt, mostly. Kind of. I'll work on it, okay. Yeah, if there's any books in here you think I should prioritise, please let me know. I will be using Tori's jar of prompts to work out all of my reading this year, as you'll have seen on my January TBR if I got that up before this. And that will basically be controlling my reading for the year, but from this TBR, if that makes sense. Hope that makes sense. Anyway, yeah, if there's anything in here you think I really need to get to, or anything in here you're like, girl, no, please let me know. And if you want to, please let me know what's on your TBR. It doesn't need to be how many books, but you can tell me how many books if you want to. If there's anything you're particularly excited, if you have anything on here that is on your TBR, please let me know. I love to chat about it in the comments. If you wanted to let me know you were here but you don't want to leave a big comment, if you leave me some kind of stack of book emojis or book emoji in the comments, that would be amazing. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.